Okay, I had a squeak coming from what seemed to be my brakes. I had to check it out. I'll insert a video right here that you can hear, so you can hear the squeak, see what it sounds like. And so I had my wife get in the car and hit the brakes as I bent down and looked underneath the car, and what I found was that well, you can't see it because the light's not on, but my tie bar bush is coming apart, disintegrating on the front of the tie bar. Let me get the wheel off. I just pulled the lug nuts off so I can give you a better view of what the tie bar bush looks like. Okay, so underneath the car here now, with the tire removed, you can see how the poly bushing has started to disintegrate and is kind of broken itself apart and is being pushed out from its intended area. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the tie bar. Hopefully I can do that without taking apart too much of the suspension. What I think I can do is just remove the front here bolt and nut, and then take this arm off and probably get enough angle to take the back bolt off of the tie bar, and then remove the two bushings. Okay, to get the front bolt and nut off of the tie rod, the easiest way to do it is you take off the bottom nut, and then you take a rubber mallet and you bang on the bottom of the bolt to get the bolt to pop up most of the way. Then you can take a jack with a rubber base right here, and then put the suspension under load. Once you put the suspension under load, this bolt here becomes a little bit loose, so it's not so tight and jammed in there, and then you can kind of back it out and get the bolt out. So that's what I did. So I can remove that bolt all the way, and then I'll be one step closer to getting the tie rod off. Okay, once you take the bolt all the way off, the tie rod should come free from the front. I've already loosened up the back castle nut. So on the back there's this castle nut. You take that off, and then you can loosen up the back nut. This castle nut is a 5/8, I believe, and then the bigger portion back here that actually holds the bushing on is a 15/16. So that one's kind of big, but you can get a crusher wrench. Actually, I went out and bought a new one and fit it around there if you don't have a 15/16. Okay, once you get the castle nut off, the easiest way to take off let me get the light over. The easiest way to get this off is to you hold this back nut on and you spin the tie bar. And you just spin the tie bar until it comes off. That way you don't have to take off the with the tie bar all the way pushed in to the to the frame here, you don't have a lot of room to get this big nut off the back and get it around the torsion bar without taking the torsion bar off. So this way you can just spin it off the front and then take off the parts, and you can see that this front bushing, the back bushing, is in good shape. The front bushing has split and it's really kind of disintegrated itself, so I'm going to take that off and replace it. Okay, so I think I figured out why I had premature failure of my bushing. The hole here is kind of oblong. It's kind of worn itself away, probably from rubbing too much, and I guess that allows too much space, and some of the bushing kind of presses into the hole and rubs, and over time it causes it to break and tear, and then we have failure. So the proper way to fix this would be to either have somebody properly weld on a new mounting point here, or cut out this old hole and then have someone weld in a new one that has the proper size diameter, inside diameter. What I'm gonna do, because I don't have the time or the patience to do any of those, is I'm going to put some washers. I got two washers, one that'll go up against the inside bushing, and then one on the outside. Right, for now I'm gonna just install it with the rubber. I have some spare rubber bushings while I wait to get a new poly bushing in the mail, and so while I wait for that, I'm just going to install this one temporarily, and then once the poly bushing comes in, I'll pop that off and put on the poly bushing. This one, from the looks of it, does not take too much abuse, if any, from the suspension travel and over time as it bounces up and down and everything. All the big pressure is kind of taken by the front bush as it flexes and as the suspension goes through its travel. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put these two washers, which will prevent the bushing from squeezing itself into this hole here, and then by preventing it from squeezing into that hole, I can prolong the life of my bushes. So that's what I'm going to do. So for now, I'm going to re-lubricate these bushings, and then I'm going to reinstall my tie bar. Okay, when putting the whole thing back together, so I got the tie bar going through the poly bush, and then there's a washer, and then there's another washer on the back side, and then the rubber bushing, and then the big nut, the 15/16 nut with the washer attached to it behind here, and that's what I'm grabbing with this adjustable wrench. So now the easiest way to do this is to use a wrench like this to hold that back nut steady as you twist this, and then eventually get the holes in the tie bar to line up with the hole in the lower control arm, and then you can feed it back on there and put the bolt back through. So I'll just keep on twisting this tie bar on until I get the holes to line up. I'm going to have to probably tighten it up more. There's going to be a little bit more tension on the bushings, obviously, because I got the washers in there, which are creating extra space, but I'll just have to accept that. It'll be a little bit stiffer suspension on this side. I'll accept that, and I'll get it back together. Okay, so the washer on the outside here next to the poly bushing ended up being too much. It was too thick, and I had to really tighten it down too much in order to get the holes to line up over here on the front side of the tie bar. And so that wasn't, it didn't seem to be something that was going to last at all. So what I did was I got a smaller washer, one that just fit inside of the hole that had been worn out, but it fits around the end of the tie bar, so it kind of fills the void in there, and that way the bushings won't squeeze themselves into the hole. So that's the way I'm going with the solution for now. I'm gonna have to take this apart again in a little bit once I get the new poly bushing in and replace that back rubber one. But for now, I'm gonna run it like this, and when I take it apart, I'll see how it all fared and if it's deteriorating too quickly. Ultimately, I'm gonna need to get somebody to weld a proper piece in here and make it the proper size for the tie bar so that it all fits correctly. But for now, I think this will work, and I think it'll increase the longevity of my poly bushing that I have there, and that way I won't go wasting money on more of them.